They say the deepest anguish isn't physical, it's the kind that shatters you from within while spectators stare, judge, and applaud your collapse. Zola Akani, 26 years old, understood this truth in her bones. A quiet, reserved woman with a gentle spirit, she worked at a small community library in Houston's historic Third Ward. Her humble background was offset by a deep integrity that earned her the affection of all who knew her. At 22, she fell in love with Kofi Dumont, the heir to a prestigious Southern family renowned for their real estate empire and philanthropy. He entered her life like a hurricane disguised as a soft breeze, all dazzling smiles and promises that later twisted into silent threats. The public hospital, smelling of cheap disinfectant and echoing with newborns' cries, became the stage for her unimaginable nightmare. After more than 8 hours of labor endured alone, Zola held her newborn son, her eyes swollen from tears. Her mother was battling a terminal illness. Her friends couldn't make the trip, and Kofi arrived only when it was all over. He strode into the cramped room, impeccably dressed in designer clothes, followed by his mother, Mrs. Odette Dumont, whose gaze radiated arrogant contempt, and his younger sister Nala, who looked at Zola as if she were vermin. "You're late," Zola murmured weakly, clutching her baby. Kofi ignored her, his eyes locking onto the infant. His expression shifted from discomfort to a cold, poisonous rage. "What is this?" he demanded, his voice low and intense. "It's your son, Kofi." "Our son," Zola replied, confused. Mrs. Odette stepped forward. "That is not a Dumont." Nala let out a nervous, mocking laugh. "Zola, what did you do?" "I didn't do anything. The baby is yours, Kofi." Zola began to tremble, but Kofi was already turning to a nurse. "I need the hospital administrator. I refuse to sign any birth certificate. That bastard will not carry my name." The words stabbed into Zola like knives. She clung to her child, tears of pain, not humiliation, filling her eyes. "How can you say that? He is your son. Look at me, please." Kofi finally looked at her, but as a stranger. "Do you think I'm a fool? That child looks nothing like me. I will not bear the burden of a mistake that isn't mine." "He is not a mistake." "Don't raise your voice at me," Kofi shouted, pointing a finger. "What you did is unforgivable. You have no idea what you've caused." Mrs. Odette crossed her arms. "I always knew you were an opportunist, a poor girl using a swollen belly to climb, and look at you now. You don't even know who the father is." "Shut up!" Zola screamed, trembling with anger. "You have no idea what you're talking about." "Don't speak to my mother like that." Kofi slammed his hand against the wall. "You, Zola, have messed with my family." The baby, Keon, began to wail, sensing the tension. As Zola tried to soothe him, Dr. Ahmadi, the attending physician, entered with concern. "Is everything all right here?" "Of course not," Kofi snapped. "This woman is pinning a child on me that isn't mine. I want proof. I will not allow a false paternity." The doctor looked from Zola to the child. "Mr. Dumont, I need to speak with you privately." "I have nothing to discuss. I'm clear. That child isn't mine." "Please, it's important," Dr. Ahmadi insisted. Kofi ignored him, turning to his mother. "We're leaving. Let her deal with her own problem." As Zola tried to sit up, post-labor pain forced her back down. "Don't go. Please listen." Mrs. Odette delivered a final blow. "I hope you have a good story for that child when he asks who his father was." And they left. Dr. Ahmadi closed the door gently and approached. "Zola, you need to be strong. What I must tell you is not easy." She lifted her tear-soaked face. "What is it?" The doctor paused. The reason Kofi sensed something strange. The baby has a genetic condition that is not compatible with his profile, but also not fully compatible with yours. Zola blinked, uncomprehending. We need more tests, but Zola, the child's father appears to be someone very close to Kofi. Her heart skipped. No, that can't be. I was never with anyone else. Never. The doctor stood awkwardly. I will tell you more when I have the lab results. For now, rest. You'll need it. He left her alone in the thick silence, a wound in her soul with no name or cure. She didn't know hell was just beginning or that the truth awaiting her was worse than any lie. Days later, Zola returned to her mother's dilapidated house in her old neighborhood with broken windows and no running water. It wasn't a mansion, but at least no one would judge her there. Meanwhile, in the Dumont mansion, Kofi demanded answers from Dr. Amadi. What do you mean by incompatible? Explain. The doctor remained calm. Mr. Dumont, we detected an uncommon genetic condition. It matches a relative of yours, but not you. Are you suggesting it was someone in my family? I suggest a DNA test. Kofi hung up, his suspicion falling on the chauffeur, the gardener, even his own 20-year-old brother, Osi. Mrs. Odette entered, elegant and superior. I'm arranging a DNA test. I always knew that woman wasn't trustworthy. I want all the staff investigated, Kofi hissed. I will not allow my name to be tarnished. Zola, struggling to survive with no formula, diapers, or access to her frozen accounts, found refuge with a kind neighbor, Mrs. Kedder, who offered her tea and bread. That baby ain't to blame and you need some help, Mrs. Kedder said. Zola broke down, weeping for the first time since the hospital. I swear to God I wasn't with anyone else. I don't know what's happening. That night a blurred memory surfaced, a glass of wine, a strange dizziness at the Dumont house when Kofi was away. Then everything was fog. Social media soon exploded with a leaked photo of Kofi leaving the hospital, captioned "Multi-millionaire rejects his own son at birth." The press began to circle. Journalist Savannah Jones tracked Zola down. I want to tell your story, she said. The country deserves to know the truth. Zola, looking at her son, felt that speaking might be the only way to protect him. Kofi received the DNA results alone. They were negative. The baby was not his. A raw, fracturing fury consumed him. That child is dead to me, he told his lawyer, burning the envelope. That evening he was seen laughing with a blonde socialite at a Dallas lounge, a hollow performance in a world of empty spaces. Zola, with Keon in her arms and a resume stained by rumor, searched desperately for work, facing rejection at every turn. One night she found an anonymous letter slipped under her door. He wasn't the only one in that house who looked at you differently. A chill seized her. The shadows around her story were deepening. She took a night cleaning job, mopping floors with swollen hands while Keon slept in a cardboard box. When Keon developed a fever and tremors, a clinic doctor warned of a possible neurological or metabolic condition, but tests would cost $5,000 or $6,000. Money Zola didn't have. She sold her only ring, a gift from Kofi, for formula and rice. At a legal aid office, lawyer Imani Grant listened to her story. We'll start with a paternity and child support suit, Imani said. But they already did a test. It was negative, Zola whispered. I don't remember anything, just one night I felt strange. Imani nodded, seeing a pain deeper than test results. I'm going to help you, I promise justice. Pressure mounted on the Dumonts. Kofi's father, the formidable Sterling Dumont, returned from a business trip. Did anyone in the family do anything with Zola? Kofi asked him. The DNA doesn't match me, but it matches someone close. Sterling remained composed. Your weakness is making you talk nonsense. That woman doesn't deserve another minute of our time. From the doorway, Osei listened, later whispering to his mother, "Mum, do you remember Aaliyah?" Mrs. Odette tensed. Why mention that woman? Because Dad has worse secrets. What he did to Aaliyah was worse. Be quiet, that story died years ago. It was just buried, Osei replied, like everything else in this house. Dr. Amadi confirmed Keon had a rare mitochondrial disorder, progressive and costly to treat. Over $15,000 just to start, he said. There's another option, if we find a compatible relative for alternative therapy. Zola felt the world spin. What if the only compatible person is in a family that hates me? The doctor looked at her with compassion. Then you must decide whether to face that hatred or let silence consume everything. That night, Zola opened a new genetic report, obtained with Imani's help. It revealed a match not with Kofi, but with another Dumont family member. The paper fell from her hands. The true father of her son was Sterling Dumont. Zola confronted Mrs. Odette at the mansion. "I need to speak with you alone." "You have 5 minutes." "I'm not here about your son, I'm here about yours, the other one. I know Keon's true father is Sterling, and you knew it." Mrs. Odette stood, her hands trembling slightly. "You don't know what you're saying." And Aaliyah didn't know what she was doing when she screamed either. Or was she also silenced with money? At the mention of that name, Mrs. Odette sank into a chair, crushed by the weight of years of secrets. Aaliyah was a young girl who worked here. She disappeared. I saw her bruises, saw her avoid Sterling. I knew, but I was afraid. He threatened to destroy everything. And you allowed him to repeat it with me. Silence was her answer. Imani and Zola discovered Aaliyah had been institutionalized in a private psychiatric clinic for over 4 years. They visited. Aaliyah was sedated, unresponsive, bearing marks on her arms. "She's alive but no longer free," Zola said. A leaked audio clip then surfaced online. A woman's anguished voice screaming, "He drugged me. I didn't want to. I couldn't move. Please help me." Social media erupted. Zola listened 3 times. The 3rd time, her blood ran cold. It was her own voice. Kofi heard the audio via an anonymous link. As the broken desperation filled the room, a memory crystallized, the night he left on a business trip, leaving Zola alone in the house with his father. Sterling's insistence that everything would be fine. Zola's changed demeanor weeks later. The glass in his hand fell and shattered. He understood everything. He stormed into Sterling's study. "What did you do to her?" Sterling sipped his whiskey with chilling serenity. "You were always weak, Kofi. I wanted to show you that you can't trust anyone, not women and not your own judgment. And I succeeded." Kofi staggered, repulsed. "You're sick. I'm in control." "You're not in control of anything. I'm going to sink you." Sterling laughed dryly. "And you think people will believe a spoiled boy over me? Do you know how many judges owe me favors?" Kofi left, slamming the door. He went to Zola's neighborhood where Mrs. Kitta initially barred his way. "I need to speak with her." Zola was feeding Keon. Seeing him, she stood, fury in her eyes. "What are you doing here?" Kofi looked defeated. "I came to ask for your forgiveness." "Your forgiveness is useless. I know everything now. I heard the audio. I spoke with him. He confessed. What he did to you, what he did to me." His voice broke. "And now you come to redeem yourself? After abandoning me, after humiliating me?" "I know, but I want to help you and my son." "He is not your son, even if he doesn't carry my blood. What they did is unforgivable, and I won't stay silent." Zola collapsed onto the bed, crying deep, powerless sobs. Kofi left without another word. Imani prepared a formal complaint, amassing medical exams, genetic tests, the recordings, and Aaliyah's history. They'll say you did it for money, for revenge, she warned. I don't care, Zola said. I'm doing this for all the ones who couldn't speak. The media pounced. Sterling requested a private meeting. Against Imani's advice, Zola went. You have guts, he said. I can take the child from you. I have the resources. Do you really want to play this game? Zola didn't flinch. Try it. I will make public every detail, every victim, every audio. You won't be able to walk down the street. Sterling left without another word. Kofi called a press conference. I come to speak as a son, a husband, and a victim of silence, he declared before the flashing cameras. The father of my wife's son is my own father, and it is not the first time he has done this. The media explosion was instantaneous. With Aaliyah's escape from the clinic and her harrowing testimony, the district attorney ordered Sterling's arrest. He was led out in handcuffs, though released 72 hours later on a legal technicality. A judge and old acquaintance, public outrage fueled a massive march organized by Zola and the other victims. She walked at the front with Keon in her arms, tears in her eyes, but her head held high. As the world watched, Keon's condition deteriorated urgently, requiring immediate surgery Zola couldn't afford. In desperation, she recorded a video telling their story. A viral wave of solidarity raised over $70,000 in 24 hours. Kofi sold his stake in a tech company and contributed silently. The surgery was a success. Meanwhile, Kofi's private investigator uncovered Sterling's plan to flee the country. Zola, alerted, went to the airport and faced him at the VIP line. You, he said with arrogance. She said nothing as police, a judge, and a prosecutor arrived. Sterling was detained for attempted flight and fraud. You won't get out so easily this time, Zola said. He smiled coldly. The world is full of traitors. No, it is full of women who stopped being afraid. The trial was long and public. Dozens of witnesses testified. Aaliyah's account paralyzed the courtroom. Zola held Keon as she spoke, not for compassion but for justice. Sterling Dumont was found guilty on multiple counts and sentenced to life imprisonment without parole. With Keon recovering and a new stability, Zola wrote a book, The Son of Silence, published by a small black-owned press. It became a sensation. Using the royalties, she founded the Keon Foundation, offering aid to women victims of abuse and power violence. Aaliyah volunteered, Imani provided legal counsel, Mrs. Ketter offered warmth, and Kofi supported quietly, seeking no spotlight. Years later, on a warm March afternoon, Zola walked with a growing Keon in her arms. Are you okay, Mum? He asked. She smiled with peace. The pain broke me, but you rebuilt me. And they kept walking.